Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has described anti-Israel vandalism in eastern Sydney as deeply troubling. Joining me live is Alex Ryvchin, co-CEO of the Executive Council of Australian Jewry. Alex, it's good to see you again. Thank you for coming on this morning. You've labelled this domestic terrorism. Are you confident it will be treated as such by the authorities?
I sincerely hope so. I mean, the police at their press conference yesterday morning referred to it as a hate crime. No doubt they're taking this very seriously. We've seen extensive damage to property. I was there at the scene shortly after the event, and you could see the scale of it, you know, the size of the lettering. Many cars were vandalised, homes, businesses, it crossed many streets. These people took their time. And the police know that they've got a problem on their hands, that we've seen a gradual escalation in the targeting and the severity of these attacks, and now you have a car burning, and who knows what's next. So I'm very confident the police will treat this with all due seriousness.
Have you been in contact with the police recently about this, and is there any plans to increase security around eastern Sydney?
Yeah, we've been in touch with the police immediately in the aftermath of this incident, and we've been assured, and the police have made the public assurance as well, as has the Premier, that there'll be an increase in resources and the use of a task force to try to get to the bottom of this. It is part of a pattern of behaviour. We've seen a series of graffiti attacks in the eastern suburbs. This is the most serious one in terms of, you know, the gravity, given that there was a car set alight. It could have been so much worse as well. But no doubt the authorities are treating this seriously, and they should be. We're seeing the anti-Israel movement become more brazen, more open, more fanatical, more prone to violence. And it's not merely the Jewish community that suffers for it, it's all Australians.
Prime Minister Anthony Albanese labelled the vandalism deeply troubling and disturbing. How do you rate the response from the Prime Minister and our politicians regarding this incident?
Well, the politicians, including the Prime Minister, as you say, have roundly condemned this. That's an easy thing to do. Any decent person, particularly a political leader, will condemn this. But we need to see action, and we've been calling for action for over a year now. We've seen since October 7 support for terrorism on our streets. We've seen the infiltration of anti-Israel fanatics through the school system, university campuses, professions. It's affecting every aspect of public and private life, and it really needs to stop. It's affecting our ability to enjoy our freedoms as Australians. We're seeing the shop windows, the Christmas display at Maya being targeted. It's gotten to proportions where these people are increasingly intruding in our lives and freedoms. And we need more than words from politicians. We need acts. We need law reform. We need tough police action. This has to stop.
What's your reaction to the International Criminal Court issuing an arrest warrant for Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his former Defence Minister Yoav Gallant overnight?
Look, it's a scandal, and it's an indictment on the international system. It shows how these forums, which once held great prestige and served vital functions, have been totally politicised and turned against Western democracies. This is the first time in the history of the court that they've issued an arrest warrant against the leader of a democratic state. It goes completely beyond the mandate of the ICC. The US has spoken about imposing sanctions on the court, which I think would be a good first step.
The Australian government has also denied former Israeli government minister Alight a visa to come to Australia. She says this political decision of this government is nothing short of a hostile anti-Semitic attack. And I see that former Prime Minister Scott Morrison has labelled the move as a disgrace. What's your response?
Well, I'm very keen to hear what the Immigration Minister, Tony Burke, has to say about this, whether indeed she's been denied on character grounds. This is someone who served as Justice Minister in the Israeli government not long ago. She was granted a visa and came to our country 2 years ago. To suggest that she's somehow going to incite discord is just laughable. So the government really needs to answer for this decision and explain it. There's obviously an appeals process, and I would encourage the Israeli politician to pursue that, because this can't be allowed to stand.
Alex Ryvchin, I really appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.